What you are about to witness is a mediocre review of the 9th film in a legendary horror franchise spanning nearly 50 years. This review may be long-winded. There will be babbling and quite possibly a loss of train of thought. John has very strong opinions. He's thick-headed and stubborn, but he's actually a pretty okay guy. This is the Project Ellsworth review of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022, only on Netflix.
Who the hell are you calling thick-headed?
You.
But I am you.
Would you just do the damn thing?
Dude, don't push me.
I told you.
So the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. This movie is significantly different than all of the other movies in this franchise. Pretty much everything about this movie looks and feels different. This time we are in a small, damn near abandoned town, seemingly in the middle of nowhere. It almost looks like something off of a Hollywood set in the middle of a desert, is what my immediate thought was when I saw this thing. Where there's nothing for hundreds of miles in any direction other than this small town in the middle of nowhere. So we have a guy and a couple of his friends meeting up with investors so that they can dump some money into this town, bring the town back to life, I don't even want to say rejuvenate local businesses, because it doesn't appear that there are any local businesses here to be regenerated. There's like a mechanic shop there. That pretty much looks like that might be about the long and short of it. So they come in here, they have deeds to houses, they wind up coming across the house that they go into because there's a rebel flag hanging on the outside of the house, and that's a bad look in this day and age. That's kind of like a nod to the too touchy, what's the word I'm looking for? Everybody's scared to death. The cancel society, or the cancel culture. Thank you. The cancel culture. That's a nod to the cancel culture. You see this flag and everybody wants to wash their hands of you. So they go inside of this house in an attempt to go up to the second floor to pull off of this flag, and they come across a lady who says, "Why are you in my house?" Well, it turns out they are trying to let this lady know, well, in fact, this is not your house. This is our house, and we're getting ready to sell this sumbitch. So this lady winds up being taken out of the house by the cops. She winds up sick. She winds up in an ambulance. She winds up being driven away. Herself, one of the people who came to this town, and her rather large, it almost looks like this guy's portrayed to be her son, but that can't be her son. Big lumbering caretaker guy gets into the truck with her. They drive off. She dies. Car crashes. He kills everybody. And you guessed it, that guy's Leatherface. Wow. So he spends the rest of the movie just killing everybody in sight. And that's basically the long and short of this movie. If you're looking for great plot and epic storytelling and intellectually involved, mind-bending, go somewhere else, because that is not what TCM 2000 sound like Rocky. Hey. That is not what Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 is. This movie, I have issues with certain characters and certain timelines, and the character of Sally returns in this film. And she's portrayed by somebody else. I don't remember what that woman's name was, but the character's name is Sally. And I'll tell you what, after watching this movie, I, deep in my soul, wish that Marilyn Burns could have come back and portrayed Sally again. Because the one major problem that I had in this movie was the character of Sally. I think it's really cool that they reached back and grabbed her from 48 years ago and pulled her forward into this movie. I think that's really awesome, but I just did not like her character in this movie. All the way down to the way she walked. I didn't like the way that she walked. I didn't like the way that she talked. I didn't like really care for the way that she looked, and it just didn't suit. It didn't fit for me. Somewhere along the line, leading up to this, I thought that I heard that Marilyn Burns was supposed to come back and she was supposed to play Sally. I don't know where I heard that. Clearly, that got jumbled up somewhere in here and came out sideways because the character's back, but Marilyn Burns as Sally is not back. I don't know if she's somewhere else tucked away in this movie someplace or not, but she definitely was not Sally. I did not like that character. All right, so now that's out of the way. I loved this movie. I loved everything else about this movie. Leatherface should be older than he is, and yeah, things just don't seem like, I don't know. He's an orphan. He's in an orphanage in like 1975 or 1976 in this. That doesn't add up at all in my mind. I don't think that it does. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I didn't put a whole lot of thought into that or this or anything. I didn't want to plan this out at all. I wanted to watch that movie, and I wanted to come on here and give my thoughts. I don't want to give crib notes on everything that happens. I just wanted to say how I felt about this movie overall. The acting, I thought, was what you typically get in a horror movie. Did not care for that Sally character at all, and that's got to be on, I don't know if that's the writing or if that's the directing. It's got to be partially on the director, right? I mean, he's the one that told her what to do. Somebody wrote this script. It was his job to see this script through, and he's the one that says action, he's the one that says cut, so on and so forth. So it's either on him or it's on her or it's on both. I thought that character was awful. But the portrayal of Leatherface, I thought was really, really strong in this movie. What was his? I think his name was Mark Burnham, if I'm not mistaken. If I am mistaken, it's okay. Don't roast me for it. I thought his character was really, really good. I really enjoyed Leatherface in this movie. And the kills in this movie were top-notch, absolutely, positively friggin' brutal. And I loved it. Ultra-violent gore fest. Fantastic. There's a scene in this movie on a bus that you see. Do I even want to get into that? Leatherface gets on a bus and kills everybody on the bus. And it's fantastic. I'm not going to give too many more details than that. There's a particular kill on that bus that's pretty cool. It has to do with somebody trying to get out of a window. That's all I'm going to say about that. But something on that bus. When he walks onto the bus, everybody on the bus holds up their cell phones. And the guy in the front of the bus that's closest to Leatherface, this is in the trailer, so this is not, he mentions to Leatherface that, you know, do one thing wrong and you're going to get canceled or something along those lines. And Leatherface just eviscerated this guy, which is fantastic, because I wish that as a society we could eviscerate all of those guys. It was just, that was cool that they touched on that a little bit. And the whole flag thing, whatever, stop being so, get thicker skin. I thought that this movie was absolutely entertaining. I was not looking to find a movie to dig into intellectually or sit down and try and find plot points and figure things out. I didn't want any of that. I sat down with my son on Friday night. This is Sunday afternoon. We watched it Friday night. I sat down with him in my living room, turned on the surround sound, turned off the lights, sat in front of Netflix, and had a blast with this movie. I know that a lot of other reviewers, I have not read or watched very many other reviews of this, but the few that I have watched have been by my friends that also have YouTube channels that are content creators, and they mentioned that this movie's getting a lot of hate. Well, here's a question for you. What horror movie that has ever been created by anybody anywhere has not gotten a lot of hate? Every movie that has fallen into the genre of horror has tons of haters, tons of people shooting holes through the plot, and then tons of people who absolutely love it. You're going to get that with any movie made anywhere by anybody on any topic, whatever. Well, I don't know any topic. Probably any topic too, but we're talking about horror movies. All horror movies. Every horror movie that's ever been made has lovers and haters, and that's just the way it is. And I'm sure that this movie is not going to be an exception to that rule. I am not a hater. I'm typically never a hater. If a movie is horrendous to me, whatever. I haven't made a movie. I don't get into all that. I could care less. This movie, for me, was so much fun. I love... Now, look, I'm rambling. That stuff gets under my skin. It's pretty apparent. I thought that this movie was a ton of fun. I thought Leatherface was great. I even liked his mask, to be totally honest with you. You see him get his mask at the beginning of this. My friend Brad, Bronco Juggalo, said that he looked like Butterball from Hellraiser with this mask on. And I'm not saying he's wrong. I think he's actually right. I think that's absolutely what it looks like. But I liked it. I liked the fact that it looks like you see him get this mask. You know who this face once belonged to. You see the person alive in this movie. And when he puts it on, it looks like it's like sliding off of his face. And I just think that that's unbelievably cool. But I'm also the guy who liked the look of Freddy Krueger in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Everybody in the world hated that. I liked it because he looked like an actual burn victim. I just like odd things, apparently. But I thought it was really cool. I thought his portrayal of the character was cool. I thought that the look of the character was cool. I thought that all the kills and violence and blood in this movie was great. It looked great. I'm not a CGI guy. I'm a practical effects guy. I always have been. I always will be. There is definitely a time and place for CGI. Without it, we don't have Jurassic Park. You know what I'm saying? But, I like practical effects. And you had a healthy dose. You had a healthy dose of practical effects as well as CGI in this movie. And it all looked great. What else can I say? I thought this movie was fantastic. It was a ton of fun, and like I said, I'm not looking for award-winning acting or writing or none of that. I'm looking for fun. When I sit down to watch a movie, I never sit down with the mindset of this movie better win an Academy Award, or this movie better have the greatest cinematography I've ever seen. I sit down with movies that look interesting to me for fun. And if you watch enough horror in your life, you know that these movies, this is exactly what you think it is. It's exactly what you think it is. It's a great big sweaty guy in Texas with a chainsaw killing people. That's exactly what it is. And that's exactly what you get with this movie. And I loved it. I'm going to get out of here now. I ramble on a lot. I don't know why I let that kind of stuff get under my skin. I can't stand it when people start complaining about the plot. This movie's fantastic. Watch it. It's fun. I'm getting out of here. Leave me some comments down below and let me know how you felt about this movie, and let me know where this movie falls in the franchise for you as far as a ranking goes. I tell you what, I'm a huge fan of the original film. That's an all-time great for me in the whole world of horror, not just Texas Chainsaw Massacre and all that. As far as this franchise goes, I think in the history of horror movies that there are not very many that are more important than that movie is. That one's going to be number one for me probably to the end of time. They can make 50 of these things. That's probably always going to be my favorite. This movie's definitely better, in my opinion, than Part 2 and Part 3 and Part 4 and Texas Chainsaw 3D and Leatherface, the one that came out a couple years ago where the kids got the cow's head on. The best thing about that Texas Chainsaw 3D was the wardrobe that what's her name? Daddario?
Hey.
Something Daddario. Her wardrobe is hands down the best part of that movie. Again, just my opinion. All right, I'm getting out of here. Like I said, leave me them comments. Tell me how you felt about this movie, or don't. Whatever you want to do. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a kick-ass day. And thank you for watching. Go on Netflix and watch this movie. Fun as hell. Later.